I think I got.
There we go.
There you go. Broadcast is live. There you go. Everybody, the broadcast is live. Welcome to the Comic Book School Community Monthly Call. This is the time where we give you an update on our challenge, things that are happening in our community, and update you on all the different ways that you can get involved and be part of making comics. Of course, Comic Book School's mission is to progress the craft and business of making comics. Comic Book School is a free resource which you can find at www.comicbookschool.com. Now, many times tonight we will reference our message boards, which are located within the Comic Book School website. There's a little link there called message boards. And there's also links there about our Comic Book School 8-page challenge, I should say the second one. And we'll be updating you on that as well tonight. But first, let me do a quick introduction to my co-hosts. From the top left, I'd like to introduce you to Ari Rubin. Ari is our editor. Say hello, Ari.
Hey everyone, how you doing?
And dialing in from just below us, right there, is our project manager and man about town, and I should say the award-winning Chris Burgos.
What's up, everybody?
There you go. It's very important. We will tell you why Chris is the award-winning and that Ari is also the award-winning. We got a pretty good show planned for you tonight, and we're going to be covering a wealth of different topics. We'll be talking about the awards. We're talking about an upcoming guest named Josh Dahl. We'll be talking about where we are in the 8-page challenge, the second one. We're talking about how to use our message boards a little bit more actively. We're going to be asking you if you would like to help out a little bit. We have a small group of people. We need to expand that group. There's so much to do. And a quick update from our tech team as well. So there's a lot to cover. Guys, any initial thoughts before we jump right into our agenda? Ari, Chris?
I know. I think you got it. I think we're
Yeah, that was
we're
pretty
good.
much everything. You got it all, buddy.
Yeah, well, somebody wrote the agenda for me. D. Alley wrote it for me, so it was. I just read it. She makes it look easy. She is an award-winning editor. As a result of that introduction, I will tell you that we have won, not one, but two big awards. We're very excited. These awards are very special to us. If you consider that we took a group of inexperienced, little bit experienced, and completely inexperienced people, rallied them together last year during a pandemic, produced a 144-page anthology that looked and felt professional because it was professional. And then it was submitted to multiple awards. We were nominated for 4. We took home 2. Ari, I'm going to put you on the spot. Tell us a little bit about the awards that we won. And I will, in a minute, pull up my screen to show them where they can read more about it. And I'll get that ready.
Okay, so we won, as Buddy said, we won 2 Independent Creator Awards. If you follow Rob Anderson, who's big not only in our community but in the indie comics community as a whole, you'll know that the Comic Book Advocates run these awards every year. This year, the awards were entirely community. They were voted on by the community. So, and people in the independent comics community, creators, and fans who are involved in the community were eligible to vote, and we won 2 awards. We won for Best Anthology for Creator Connections Panel 1, which is our anthology that we did for the first 8-page challenge. It's available for free download on comicbookschool.com. If you have not downloaded it yet, you should. And then we won for Best Short Story, Chris Burgos for Ragnarok Comes, and JP also, JP Vilchis, right? Chris Burgos and JP Vilchis for Ragnarok Comes for Best Short Story, which is one of the short stories you can read in our free award-winning anthology as well. So we won Best Anthology of 2020 and Best Short Story of 2020. Yeah, read them for free, see why we won, and read all the other stories in there as well.
Yeah, so you can see from this page that I've pulled up, and also I'll click back to the home page so you can see where it's located on our website at comicbookschool.com. I'm going to be putting you on the spot in a minute, Chris. But we are very, very proud of this, and very, very proud of all of you who contributed stories and worked really heads down during a very difficult time. And Chris, what does it feel like to have won an award like this on your first time out?
Honestly, this is awesome. This is really incredible, especially when you look at, not just the breadth of stories that were within this anthology, because this anthology totally rocked. Every story was banging. I was a big fan of a lot of the stories, artwork, and the way they were written and everything. So being able to stand out above some of them or whatnot was great. But then also, it was a long year. People were trying to release some content here and there, and there's a lot of other books out there, anthologies and short stories. So to be able to make a mark on top of all that stuff being released, it's really stellar. So I'm stoked. I know JP, when I spoke to him, he was whooping up. I could hear him all the way from Mexico, cheering and jiving and everything. So it was great.
Yeah, Chris, your story came out great. It was a very brave story. You did a really great job in 8 pages, and a lot of credit, of course, goes to you and JP and our editors as well. Ari and Dee did a wonderful job of ensuring that every bit of that anthology looked professional. And you can have a great story, but if it's not in a package that looks great, um, that will affect the way judges review your materials. So congratulations to you, Chris. Congratulations to Ari and Dee, and to the whole community, because we won for Best Anthology as well. And that is actually something that we're all very, very proud of, because let's face it, this was a brand new group who'd never worked together before. We're all remote. Some of us have never even met in person. In fact, many of us have never even met in person. And for us to pull out a win for Best Anthology and Best Short Story is a real testament to the talent in this community, which continues. And I want to stress that right now, if you're a listener and you're coming into this and you're saying, "Wow, that was great," or if you were a participant and you were excited about it, yes, you are now part of an award-winning anthology. And you should feel proud, but also use this as an opportunity to step up. Use this as an opportunity to get people to see who you are, what you're doing. This will last in the social curve just a short amount of time. We are preparing a social media tweet storm in the next couple weeks or so. Chris is starting to organize that. But what we really want to do is ensure that when you have something that is exciting, that will help you to level up your career, raise your visibility, we need to take that into account and drive that awareness. Editors and publishers are certainly aware of buzz. So we need to work together to create buzz as a community. So as we move forward, please make sure that you are being very, very involved with social media. We're going to be pushing Chris and the anthology in the next week. So it is really important for you to participate, because this is how you will link up to something that is successful and align yourself. And that's really important. So we're going to move on to the next topic of the night. We're going to keep it moving tonight. We've been prepping our guests. Last year we had a series of guests. We're just starting to ramp up right now. We're going to be having Josh Dahl. Now, many of you know Josh from New York Comic Con. He has come to so many of the panels that we've run. He's always at Creator Connection, and just such a great, affable guy. And he had reached out last year and said, look, his career moved into a different direction, and he has gotten into finance. Ari, would you talk a little bit about what Josh will be talking about with our community? And also, if I don't think we got a picture of Josh or anything, but if you saw him, you would know him, right, Ari? He's been at all of them.
Yeah. If you've seen Josh, if you've seen him at a con, you know him. He's got kind of green hair now. He's a very animated guy. If you've been to any of the creator after cons, you've seen him at the bar. He's a memorable guy. He's going to give a great presentation. So I have his class description here. It's called Finance for the Comic Book Creator Find your MCU. Participants in the workshop-style class will learn how to calculate and track their own monetized creative units. The group will discuss how this personalized metric can inform and guide your own creative journey and potentially the larger creative community. 90-minute lesson on how money flows into and out of your creative career. He's going to talk about mindsets, how you hack those mindsets, and there'll be an interactive part where each participant has the opportunity to calculate their own creative units, their own MCU is what he's calling it, discuss and share possible applications and data. It's not a budgeting or a page rate class, but it is something that will help you with your financial mindset and teach you a little bit about how money works in the creative field. Participation is encouraged, and that's basically what he's going to do. He has a 90-minute presentation. It's on April 7th, I believe. It's on April 7th at 8 o'clock, and we'll be hosting it right here on the Comic Book School channel. And I think it's a really important thing because a lot of us creative types aren't always the best with money. Um, it's sort of like a right brain, left brain thing. Like a lot of people who are creative aren't really that good at that part of it. But if you want to make a career in anything, really, it's something that you have to take into account. That's something you have to learn more about. And he's getting himself. He moved into the financial services industry, and he's certified in a whole bunch of different things now related to that. So he's also, as a person who's been in the comics community, can speak directly to your needs as comic creators, and it's something that's really important because there aren't too many people who are doing that, who are both certified financial professionals, but who also know the industry that we're all working in. So he's got a very unique perspective on that, and he's offering it to us for free on our Comic Book School channel. There's also going to be a thread on the forums where you can ask him questions both before and after the presentation, much like the guests we had last year. So if there's anything you want to see him talk about, if there's any questions you have related to your own business or your own financial situation, any topics you want him to cover, get on the message boards. I don't know, Chris, I don't know when the thread is going to go up, but it should be up at least 2 weeks before the actual class, if not sooner. And then after the class is over, he will still be on the thread and able to answer questions there as well. So we're really excited about it.
Yeah, and what's nice about this, Ari, is that Josh does this for a living, and clearly is going to be bringing this value to the community. It's free. You're not under any obligation to attend it. It's not mandatory. It's encouraged, though, really to learn about your financial stability and to plan for your future is not something that comes easy to many of us. For those of us who work a normal day job, you have your 401k and it's automatically direct deposited. But to think about your future is critical. And I think Josh will bring some critical knowledge to those people in our community who would like to make comics permanently and full time. So we hope people attend that. We'll be announcing that again on social media. You should definitely follow social media. You can see the handle there at Comic Book School on Twitter. We'll be announcing that as well. So we look forward to meeting Josh. And if anybody has any questions, I know that we're monitoring them in YouTube and Facebook, right, Chris? We can see those.
Yeah, we're going to be monitoring them on, I believe, YouTube, but also we're going to be paying a lot of attention to the boards. And for everyone out there, this is an opportunity, to ask those questions. If you got the questions 2 weeks in advance, hit the boards, post them on the message boards. This way we can prep them and have them ready for Josh. This way you can just really bang them out. And that's what we want. We want to, absorb this guy's knowledge. And this is a good chance to really, like AA said, this is a good chance to hear from someone that you don't hear from in this field in the comic world a lot. So yeah.
So thanks for that, guys. Thank you very much for organizing it. I think Chris, you're leading this organization effort with Josh and Ari as well, right? You guys are working together. Okay. Thank you guys for doing it. Certainly excited about that. As we move into the next part of our agenda, we're going to be talking a little bit about the steps. Right now, I'm going to share my screen real quick. We've moved into step number 5. And this is actually really important because this is the scripting and revisions. Now, last year, I know that people had some challenges with scripting. It was new to many people. So what I did was I expanded the original post. If you have seen the original post from last year, I encourage you to check it out this year as well. It is the same script, but now that you've done some of this writing on your own, perhaps you'll look at it in a different way. So as we did last year, we're breaking down this Avengers Assemble. Now remember, this assignment that I had was for an 11-page story. So you're going to have to just adapt a little bit. I do provide it here. I go into greater detail about the tools that I use. As I note in the post, I draft in Google Docs because for me, it's much easier to draft in a cloud software where you can actually make revisions and jump from computer to computer, which I frequently do. And then I do my final formatting in Microsoft Word. And then if you guys recall from last year, this is the actual script that I sent along. So you can actually see how I format with indenting, with bolding, and all those different areas. I think it's really important for you to be aware of how a script should look. You'll even see where I have noted areas of where I referenced either photos or actual comic book pages. That's still in there. I actually detail that in a little greater depth for this year. I really wanted to drill down into the process of how I put my scripts together. And as I've noted, there's no real right way, but there's a whole lot of wrong ways. One of the key things I'd really like for everybody to be mindful of, and some of you did it last year, is making sure that you start your first page on a clean page, that is, force a page break. A lot of artists like to take that page and then put it on their artboard, and then they draw from that. Some of them would like you to trap a little additional space either on the right or the left where they can actually thumbnail out or sketch or scribble. And if possible, I know it's sometimes not possible, if you can get it one page on one page, right? So if you're doing an 8-page script, other than the title page, the script should be about 8 or 9 pages. So keep that in mind as you move into your scripting. One thing to note, I do look at some of your scripts. One thing to note, we we do not need Alan Moore or Neil Gaiman length description. Or you had noted that you learned how to write by reading that one script that was in the first collected edition of Sandman. I did too. I had a slightly different learning journey, but I did read that. And you can get this false positive that you should describe everything down to the barest minimal detail. And that's just not true. I don't think anybody in our group should use those as templates. They should be used as inspirational and directional. But at the end of the day, please don't overwrite. I saw a little bit of that last year. Give your artist room to express themselves. And there's times where you don't have to solve every puzzle. Just be clear about what we want to accomplish on this page. And I think that's the most important thing, is being clear, working it out with your artist. What do we want to accomplish on this page? And then really let the artist do their job. I'll include this URL in the YouTube. Ari, Chris, any thoughts? You're both writers on the scripting process.
I'll go first. Like Buddy said, having a good, tight, formal script is actually really important. But as like pretty much anyone in the industry will tell you, there is no exact template that everyone uses, and I think that's something that everyone's got to keep in mind. Myself, I come from a film background, so instead of having your typical like paragraph style description of the panels, followed by, a line of dialogue with a character's name next to it. My stuff will look like a film script where it's like quick description, middle of the page you have the character and what they say and everything. And like I've been told, either way works as long as you're, making sure that you're uh, talking to your artists, you're talking to your partner in the process, because the worst thing you can do, like Buddy said, is overwrite, not give your artist any chance to spread their wings and show what they can do creatively. And that's something that I actually love to do. I like to see what a good artist will do based on not necessarily a little description, but enough to get them through a page. And once they see what's going on the page, if they have any questions, they'll ask you. And that's where the real like collaboration comes from with artist and writer, because the story's in the writer's head at first, and handing off something like that in the form of a script, as long as you kind of guide them as far as like what's actually happening, they'll be able to interpret it in a way that's satisfactory to everybody. And yeah, overwriting is definitely something everyone should just make sure you're getting in touch with your editors, stuff like that, making sure that you're going through the script a couple times. Don't just write it once and be like, I'm done, I'm not touching it anymore. And that's very key also. So make sure that you guys are on point with that. And again, going back to the boards with this stuff, once you post your script online, you know, talk to each other, read each other's script, pick up tips and tricks that you might see from someone else's, even their formatting. Something like that could definitely help you when you're like, okay, I don't know how to write this perfectly, but I like the way that writer did it. So I'm going to kind of copy their style a little bit and kind of take from them. And that's what this community is about, is, learning and sharing and giving advice and feedback back and forth.
Yeah, and one of the things that we want to advise people, just as we did last year, right, Ari? We have to make sure that we are not trying to surprise each other. Surprise the readers. Don't surprise the community. Don't hold anything back. Put it all there on the page, and get honest feedback, because you really want this story to be the best it can be once you start that final art process. And trying to hold something back because you don't want to reveal an ending in this community is a missed opportunity. So what you want to do is put it out there, receive that feedback, and then move forward. Move forward with the best feedback. Just because 10 people tell you something doesn't mean that you're going to make a change. But if 10 people tell you the same thing or the same criticism, you should pay attention. But at the end of the day, it is your name on the story. So collect all the best feedback that you can get and then surprise the reader, right? You're not doing this for the 30 or so people participating in the challenge. You are doing it for the thousands of people who will be reading it. Ari, I saw you come on mute. Did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna hop on to what Chris was saying about the scripts, and just for a few things to think about is that it is an 8-page challenge, and one thing that you really do have to pay attention to is how you're pacing your story. You need to tell the story within 8 pages. You don't have a ninth page to tell the story. You can't finish it on the seventh page. You need to really um, get all your beats right. If there are ways, depending on the number of panels and things that you have on each page, to make a page go slower or faster and to pace the story, um, that kind of thing. But you really, for this particular challenge, you really have to be aware of how many pages you have, how many pages you have to work with, and how you're going to pace your story out within that space. Because the 8 pages is not very long. It's also not exceedingly short. Um, I've written 2-page stories, um, you know, that are much shorter, and then there's full books and graphic novels and things like that. So it's somewhere in between, but you have exactly 8 pages. You really have to pay attention to your pacing, what goes on each page, um, where you're going to do what you're going to do on the reveals, on the page turns. Things like this are things you're going to want to be paying attention to as you're writing the story.
So with that in mind, everybody, we are at step 5. If you are participating, now is the time to start your scripting and then start to post your script into, hey, Meredith, what's the deadline before it's too late? Meredith, it is never too late. As long as your team can get caught up, you certainly can join. We encourage you to try to complete those steps, such as the plotting, and the character designs, which are actually going on now as well. We're starting to see some of the character designs in the message boards. But if people are joining late, it's okay. Actually, last year, I think we had 2 or 3 late people, maybe even Mike Ponce or Matt Timpanelli were late comers, but they were able to get themselves caught up and produce wonderful stories. So Meredith, there is no late time. Do your best to get caught up. Go to the community, try to get that feedback so that you're creating the best possible book. But remember, when we were preparing this, Dee, Ari, and I really tried to build in buffer time. You know, that buffer time, there's holidays, there's family things going on. So definitely join in as quickly as you can. You'll see the link in the show notes, and then start your script. Mike Ponce, who's fashionably late. But Mike, you got your thing in on time. So bravo to you. And thank you for the great story, actually.
And remember also there's the Flash Fiction Challenge, which doesn't start until April. So if you think that you do not have enough time to do the full 8-page comic book challenge, there is the Flash Fiction Challenge that will be starting next month that you can start, that you are early for a little bit or right on time to begin as well. So you do have that option coming up as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. So we're going to move on to our next agenda item. We're trying to keep it at a good clip so that we keep this short and sweet. The next item is our message boards. If you can go back to a 3-shot with the 3 of us, Rob or Dee, whoever's running the cameras, thank you. We have these message boards for a reason. Just recently, we heard about some message boards being shut down on Facebook, and people who build hotels or houses on rented land often regret it. These accounts that we have for free, anything from Facebook to Twitter, they can be taken away. They can go out of business. Google Plus and MySpace and all these different platforms that have come and gone is the reason why we went to the effort of creating our own message boards. But, and here's the big but, it requires a new habit from you. And in order for you to benefit from this community that we're trying to develop for all of us, you need to go there. And one of the great things about the message boards is they are so new and so flexible that we have added areas that are just going to open up for conversation. Ari created a thread about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I will probably create a thread tomorrow on which comic books I bought at the comic shop this Sunday. I think you guys have to take advantage of these platforms because Facebook is not a sure thing, Twitter is not a sure thing, LinkedIn's not a sure thing. All of these platforms that are free, if you don't know what they're selling, you are the product. Okay. Facebook makes money selling your info and advertising off of you. We have no income stream at Comic Book School. We all just do this as a community. If we build something strong, we have some big ideas for where we can go with this. We are looking at different avenues to help develop out the community, make it more robust, make it more of a platform where you will be able to discover other talent and maybe even find work. But that will only happen if we build this as a habit. I encourage you guys to go there at least once, twice a week, share your ideas. There is no benefit to lurking. It's like going to a party and not talking to anybody. This is our party, right? We're throwing our own party. And if you don't go and talk at your own party, people are going to wonder, what's the matter? Chris, Ari, anything to add to that so that we can encourage people to join us in the message boards? And in the meantime, I'll pull up the forums if anybody needs them to reference them. Should we tell him that he's muted?
Chris, you're muted.
Should we tell him or no?
Okay.
No?
Thank you. If anyone would like to talk shop about WandaVision, I'm going to be dropping some noise on WandaVision. That was you'll hear some heat coming from that, and also the Snyder Cut. Come on, people! I know people have spent their 4 hours of their past weekend. Like half of America did it, half of the world did it. I'm ready to talk about that, and I'm going to be dropping it on the forums.
And the thing is, like, you know, you might go on your social media places and you might have your Facebook groups where you talk about these things, but this is where you could talk about this with your friends who you know are into this stuff too. Like everybody on here is into comics. Everyone on here, you know, they all watch this stuff and read the same stuff and these types of things. You know, this is where you can do that. We can't go. There is no meeting each other at the bar now. You know, there could be on, you know, sometimes on Zoom or whatever, but this is where you can do it all the time with the people who share the same interest that you do. It's also, you know, you become more friendly with the people in the community. You might end up working with them on something as well. You know, that's something else that could happen too. Like we were out there, we're talking about whatever it is on the message boards that's related, and you know, we become friends and we say, hey, you know, I had this idea, and you end up working on something together too. Like, you know, you never know. So it's important to build those relationships. It's important to discuss things other than the project that we're giving each other feedback on, other than the challenge, and to build the community that way. Because the community, in order for it to be a community, it can't just be about the anthology and making the product, right? In order for it to be a community, it's got to be a community where people interact and talk with each other and get together, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and this is a way to bridge those gaps and bridge distance. You know, we have people dialing in from all parts of the world, and we're making friends from all over the world. And should we have the benefit of travel again, we now have friends in different countries, different states, and certainly, okay, that was my wife telling me the roof of the car is down because it was a beautiful day. I hope you guys all went outside today and played a little bit. Anyway, please make a habit of it. The more people that come and participate, the stronger the community becomes. And trust me, on the day when you have a project, be it a Kickstarter, and I have a love-hate relationship with Kickstarter, or you do get picked up by a publisher and you want to spread the word, you want this place, right? In the early days, back when I was working at Wizard and we first started those message boards, that was a place where real friendships began. And then people would promote their comic books. And that was a way for people to go, wow, I got to go to my comic shop and get that. It's tough for indie creators to get attention for their books and get sales. This is a good place to build that network. So certainly, you guys have gotten the message. We'll transition to the next thing, which is we are making a formal request to this community. We are in desperate need of a social media manager. And by desperate, I mean really desperate. So if your day job somehow involves social media, and it would be better if if you were already a social media pro, but if you are not, this is a good way to get it on your resume. We have a challenge, right? There's a lot of us, and we're not getting coordinated to make noise. When the anthology came out, Kevin put together a spreadsheet, and then we had this little tweeting cadence that we did. Remember that? We actually got a lot of attention on it. It drove a lot of attention to the website, hence a lot of attention to your work. Now, as we're building in the next couple of months for the next anthology, this is your platform. So if you are doing character designs, or if you're a writer and you want to put out a plot synopsis, and you want to drive somebody to either the message boards where you're posting it or to your own place, and you want Ari to retweet it. Ari's got 10,000 followers, right? Or you want someone else to retweet it. This is your opportunity, right? Chris, and I'm going to put Chris in the spot here, and Chris got yelled at today by me because Chris was like, "Oh, I won first place on the first major thing I've published in an anthology, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to go hit social media." And I yelled at him. I said, "No, we're all going to do it. because we're all going to work together. We're all proud of the best anthology, and we're all proud of you, Chris. But if we do this as solo, we miss the point of that quote that I said at the beginning of the year. You want to go faster, go alone. You want to go farther, go together. So we need somebody who can help coordinate social media. We're all okay at it, right? Ari, you're probably, a couple miles ahead of us, but it's not your day job either, right? You still have a day job. Chris, you're doing a bang up job pulling us all together, coordinating all these millions of threads. Mike Ponce and Kevin and James are doing a wonderful job with tech, but that's a team. And right now we don't have a team on social media. So if you're looking to get experience in something for your resume and something for LinkedIn, we need your help. If you're already good at it and you take pity upon us, we need your help. Chris, can you give them any advice on how to reach out if they want to help?
Well, you know what? You guys can email or post in the forums. I can have my email up for everyone to see it. You can also look at our tags. If you look at our tags next to our names, that's good ways to reach out to us. And find us on Instagram, find us on Twitter, any way that you can find. One of the things that I had to do trying to find an artist was basically look them up. And if you're interested in doing this, you do the research, find us easily. We've got lots of different ways of contacting us. Just contact us, reach out, tell us you want to do it, and we will definitely be like, here, take it. So, what's that, buddy?
Buddy, you're muted. You're muted.
Son of a monkey. I did it myself, and I promised myself that if I made fun of Chris, I wouldn't make the mistake. Oh, man. Anyway, listen, follow us all on social media, follow each other. We need to create a group, but we really need to accelerate each other's work. Ari is constantly putting creative materials out there, everything from poetry to miniature 240 character flash fiction. You can learn a lot just by watching what he's doing. But look at your artists, writers, Chris, anybody who's a writer, tweet them out. Get awareness of them. If they become hot, this work also becomes hot. The whole point of this exercise is for you to build that base that you will utilize in the future, help find your audience and help your audience find you. But you're not going to do that by yourself. It'll be much easier, much more effective. So follow all of us on social media. I'm mostly on Twitter. I know that some of you are on Instagram primarily and some other social channels, but really get involved. Don't miss this opportunity to build your audience. Guys, any other thoughts before we go to the final topic of the night, Ari?
Yeah. I think like listening to what Buddy just said. Buddy said, I'm mostly on Twitter. I too am mostly on Twitter. A lot of the artists mostly on Instagram, which makes sense because we're writers and Twitter is words and Instagram is pictures. But we really need two things. First, we need to make an effort to cross over to the other platforms and go to the ones that we are not as comfortable with. And also, what Buddy was saying, that we need someone who could coordinate overall. So we have people that are good at Twitter, we have people that are good at Instagram, we have people that are good at Facebook, and everyone's sort of in their own individual channel here. We need somebody to coordinate who really knows all of them and can make a strategy for the whole thing, and to help the writers get out there on Instagram, and to help the artists get onto more comfortable with Twitter and that type of thing, and to have our comic book school community and the members of that community to help us amplify each other across the broad spectrum of all these platforms that are available, rather than the ones that we individually might be more comfortable with.
Yeah, and I just want to show something real quick, because Ari did note I am a writer. Here's what I have done as a writer, and I want you guys to steal this idea with pride. This is a tweet that I just sent out, I think it was yesterday, And basically, I just posted, artists are posting their character design in the Comic Book School 8-page challenge. I'm using hashtag Comic Book School, hashtag Making Comics 8-page challenge, and then linking back to the forum and message boards. But you can see, I've just grabbed some sample images and then put them into the tweet stream. Now, there's not much activity on this, right? You can see there's not really much activity. For all the people that we have in our community, that's not really much activity. But if you were one of those artists and you knew that I was going to tweet that, or you were a writer and you knew that we were going to be tweeting that, we could coordinate. So that's what we're looking to do, is do this a little bit more in a little bit more organized way, so that we could drive attention to those teams that are publishing that work. By the way, Bolu's really stepping it up, and he's been tweeting more of his character designs. So, hopefully he starts to build that audience that will follow him wherever he goes to publish. So use this as your platform. Do not be shy about sharing things, because this is a platform that we've built for you. Twitter's a scary place for still. Don't worry, Mike. There's still place for people who think with pictures. There's plenty of room for you visual thinkers. And speaking of Mike, because he popped up, the final topic of tonight is our tech group, which is doing a great job behind the scenes. And I'd like to just do a shout out to Kevin, James, and Mike, because what you don't see behind the scenes is all the activity to keep the boards running, to create backups and redundancies. Plugins are constantly being updated. They are looking at technology that will make things like formatting your posts a lot cleaner. Out of the box, there are a lot of great features with the software that we're using. It's called Buddy Boss, and it's built on WordPress. And the reason I'm telling you this is because our tech team is only 3 people. They have full-time jobs. They're making comics, and they're trying to do all this technical work in the back end. And let's face it, it's a lot of work for 3 people. So if you have a technical background, if you know anything about WordPress, or if you're even a designer, I should give a shout out also to our design team that is doing wonderful work, making sure that we have graphics. And on the website, you'll notice new graphics along the right side. You'll see new header images, all those forum images. Those are done individually, piece by everybody on the team, and they're all volunteers. But we can use some help. We always need extra hands on the keyboard. And certainly if you are looking to beef up your resume or your experience on LinkedIn, you're looking for a new job or anything of that nature, you could do worse than doing some volunteer work, right? A lot of people will joke, oh, this is good for your portfolio. Let's face it, nobody's making profit off of this. So it's not like you're doing it for free so someone else can make a profit. You're doing it for a community. So definitely reach out. Chris, how can they just reach out to you and Mike and Kevin? How do they reach out? Message boards?
Message boards, definitely. I caught it. Yes, definitely the message boards. You can private message me on the comic book school site as well. I'm very easy to reach. I'm not necessarily the best at reaching back to you, but I will make sure that I look at everyone in the most timely manner, honestly. But yeah, I haven't gotten any messages yet, so no one's hit me up yet. Please hit me up, people.
And thank you, Chris, for all the work you're doing coordinating. The burden of that work fell on Ari and D last year, and they did an amazing job. But let's face it, they were sprinting. They ran a marathon at a sprint pace for 9 months, and now they both have to focus on their stories. So we're trying to distribute a little bit of the work. So a lot of credit goes to you, Chris. Thank you so much for stepping up and taking the lead on project management, and our tech team and our design team. You guys are doing such a great job, and we will become stronger as we go. So that's it. Do we have any other questions or final thoughts before we go? I'll do final thoughts after if we have any questions. Do we have questions? First from the audience, and if not, we'll go to final thoughts. Do we have any questions? Nobody has any questions? No one has anything? They don't want to know, like, what Ari's going to eat for dinner tonight or anything?
So
Hey,
it's
Art,
already
there's
happened, buddy.
something going on April 6th.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
there is. Yes, there is. There is something. Yes. Oh yeah. So he's gonna do that.
this is if I'm pitching a story to my Marvel editors. This is if I'm pitching a story to my DC editors. And this is
There
if
you
I'm
go.
going to write a video game. There you go. So
There you
sorry,
go.
a little distracting.
Yeah.
I'm equal opportunity. Depends on who I'm talking about. Like, oh man,
Yeah.
DC Comics is my favorite.
So, Buddy has a media appearance on April 6th on Shop Talk with Chuck Panez. So everybody should look out for that. It's a show that's not about promoting a book specifically, but it's about helping people become better comics and about comics education. And it dovetails very nicely with the mission of Comic Book School. So it should be a good episode. Um, Chuck is on Facebook and YouTube. Um, and he will be broadcasting in both of the places. We'll get the links up either in the chat or the description, and look out for that. You see Buddy with Chuck on April 6th, talking shop in Shop Talk with Chuck.
Yeah, and it is worth noting, Ari, thank you so much for all of the publicity you've gotten for the group. I think it's certainly just shows how hard you've worked for our group. I'm a little behind on posting these, but I added a link here in the top nav of the main website that's going to grab all of our appearances. For some reason, these are not displaying, but you can see that Ari has scheduled a lot of appearances, has tried to get people onto the show, and you, as a creator, if you would like to use the fact that we have an award-winning, look at this, some of them aren't even showing, that we now have an award-winning anthology, and you would like to schedule an appearance and use that, definitely do that. Feel good about that. Get out there, beat the drum, use this as a platform for you. Don't be shy. Seriously, this is an opportunity that will last weeks to months at most. And then after that, the buzz is worn off. Definitely take advantage of it. If you need help getting a press release out, Ari is your main guy. He knows how to write a press release, which I don't know how to do. He knows how to get publicity, which I don't know how to do. So what I'm saying is, I don't know how to do it. Go to Ari.
By selling yourself short, Buddy.
Well, you know how to do a lot of things, Ari, especially that flash fiction. Apparently, I've done flash fiction. I didn't even know it. Ari just schooled me last week. He was like, "You've done flash fiction." I was like, "No, I didn't." Turns out I did. Um, anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I'd like to give a big shout out to Rob Anderson and to Dee Alley for running this in the background. We get all the beautiful spotlights and get to talk, and they work in the background and make all of this look super smooth and easy. And then I'm going to go around the clock and get some final thoughts from Chris and Ari. If there's anything that we didn't cover, now's your opportunity. So Chris, you're on the hot seat.
I've got nothing right now. I mean, people, like everyone's been saying, this is a community, and it's the best community experience when the community is involved. So that's the key. Just make sure if you got something to say, reach out. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. I'm kind and cute and cuddly. So I'm not gonna bite. You can reach out to me if you want to know what's going on. These guys are also great. I guess you can reach out to them too. Um, but seriously, we're all fun individuals, and we're all just trying to make comics. That's what this is about, and learn from each other and everything. So definitely just use those message boards. Reach out to one another. Even just something as simple as saying hey to somebody and be like, "Hey, what's your background?" That's enough to start a conversation, and you can run with that.
Thank you, Chris. Ari, final thoughts.
Yeah, no, I mean, you hear a lot of the conversation was just about getting yourself on the board and getting yourself involved. The best way to get involved is to become involved, and you just have to take the jump and do it. It's like that thing, you take the leap of faith. There's a lot of opportunities for people to do it, and the only way to get involved is to actually get on there. We're looking to have more people, to build a bigger anthology, to have people step up to leadership positions in the community also. At the beginning of this last year, I was just like everybody else watching the call. I was just going to write a story for the anthology. And Buddy said, I need someone to write a press release. I said, hey, I can write a press release. At the end, I was like, you need someone to, proofread the book, and that's how I got involved in the editing team. And now I'm co-editing the anthology. So you just got to see those things. We said at the beginning of this year we need a project manager. Chris says, hey, I'll do it, and you see now he's doing it. So there's plenty of opportunities for people who are willing to step up and take them, and do it. It's a great thing to do, strengthening the community, and also for yourself and for your own career as well.
Thanks, Ari. And I'd like to just echo what the guys have said and add one thing to it. In a few years, we will look back at the COVID lockdown and be glad that we used our time efficiently, that we worked towards something positive, and that we have something to show for it. There are a lot of people who will come out of this who could have done something but did not. And I'm proud of all of you for stepping up and using your time wisely, and committing to yourself. But you have to keep up that commitment. You definitely have to keep up the momentum. If you want to be in comics, I am opening the door. And there are people like Chris and Ari and Dee and Mike Ponce and all these other people, Jared, who have stepped up, Bolu, who've stepped up and said, I do want to do more. Now, the reality is, when there is work or there are opportunities, you tend to go to the people who are doing either the best work, the most work, or the most visible. And these guys are all in my view, and I want you to be as well. But the door is open. It's up to you to walk through it. I can't make the comics for you. Only you can do it. But don't miss this opportunity to leave a legacy of yourself for this time, this moment in time, for who you are, because this opportunity won't come back again. Let's hope not. But the reality is, eventually we'll go back to real life. We'll start going out again. We'll start traveling again, and other things will reclaim our time. If you can be part of the message boards, great. You've built a community. If you don't, and if it's not for you, that's fine as well. But at the end of the day, you might wish that you had done something to build up your career, that you had used your time more efficiently and effectively. Don't miss this opportunity. There is nothing that can replace lost time, but you can use your time more effectively and efficiently going forward. So we hope that this is inspirational and motivational, and maybe a kick in the seat in the pants to get going. Okay, don't sit on the sidelines, get moving. So if nothing else, I say this with great affection. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and you are part of a community, and you're part of something special, but you do have to put the work into it. So please go with the steps. We're on step 5. Meredith, I hope to see your script very soon. And everyone else, thank you so much. I will see you on the message boards. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.